Hello everyone, my name is Ryan and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making one of the most iconic weapons in video game history. We're going to be making the RayGun. Now thankfully I'm not even close to the first person who thought of this, and somebody has already made a really good 3D model. And it's about 18 million pieces, so we're going to go ahead and load them up and print them all. Alright, now that we have all 19 billion pieces printed, it's time to start priming everything. Which basically means I'm going to go and file all of the rough edges of these pieces, and then continuously paint and sand them until everything looks nice and smooth. First, we're going to start with a coat of sandable primer paint. Now, this is a pretty thin coat that helps level things out, but also just gives you a sandable surface to help make everything smooth and get rid of all the weird 3D print lines. Now we're going to be moving on to the actual painting, and first is a coat of filler paint. Filler paint is just going to add a very thick primer layer that helps make everything look consistent and solid. Now I'm just sorting everything that needs to be painted different colors. Everything on the left needs to be painted silver, and everything on the right needs to be painted red. And the handles are kind of in between. Now that we have everything painted correctly, we can get on to the detailing phase. Now I'm going to take this modeling gold paint and I'm going to go ahead and paint all of the really fine lines and the details on the RayGun. Now that we've got all the details painted, I'm going to go back over with some original red paint to cover up any imperfections, which there were a lot. Now that all the major details are done, we can move on to the electrical phase. And as you can see here, I drew this engineer-approved circuit from a battery to a switch to a 9-volt to 5-volt converter, which then goes down to a PWM board with a little knob that helps control the brightness of the lights, and then connects to the 6 LED lights and the cob strip, which will be in the barrel. First, we solder the switch up to the battery, and then we're going to wire the switch and the battery to the 9 to 5 volt converter. Now I'm going to check and make sure that the 9 to 5 volt converter is actually putting out 5 volts. And as you can see here, it is. Now the 5 volt converter is going to be wired to the brightness control board. Now we're going to be getting started on the LED lights. First, we're going to start with 2 red lights. 2 yellow lights. And you guessed it, 2 green lights. The easiest way to wire all these together is to strip all of the positive and negative terminals and simply twist them together. Now we're going to add an additional positive and negative wire that will lead to the cob light strips in the barrel. Now we'll add one final positive and negative wire that will be connecting back to the original battery apparatus we have. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this actually works. It actually does. I was honestly amazed when this worked. And really happy. Alright, now for the much more annoying part, and that's going to be putting all the lights onto the barrel. We're using something called cob light strips, which is just... it's an LED light strip, but all the lights are really densely packed together, and it creates a really nice looking solid light that I think is going to look perfect for the RayGun. So first I've got to measure how long I want, then cut. 1, 2, 3, a lot of pieces. And then I get to get 2 tiny little wires and solder every single one of them together. And that is much more annoying than I'm making it seem right now. And lastly, I add 2 longer wires which will go back into the main cabin and connect to the battery and stuff. And thankfully, since this is just stick-on, I can just stick and paste everything. Now that everything's actually together, I'm going to go ahead and slip the diffuser over it and see how it looks. I'm very nervous, so I go ahead and hastily connect it to the power supply. And now we're going to turn it on. Moment of truth. It works, and it looks awesome. I don't think I've ever had a more Iron Man feeling moment than that. And now up next is assembly, which is just putting everything together. Next up, we're going to get all of the electronics in place. That mostly just involves me shoving my gargantuan fingers into this impossibly tiny area to fit everything. But eventually I actually did get it to fit. Just checking I didn't break anything. Alright, everything seems to still be working and looking quite awesome, if I must say so myself. Now we're going to put the first dial plate on, and I'm going to go ahead and fasten the knob and the switch into their proper spots. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all of the LED lights into their proper places. Then I'm going to stuff all the wires back in and hot glue it into place. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side after this. Hot glue each LED. Hot glue it to the body. And then put the faceplate on. Now we're going to start putting the rest of the RayGun together, starting with these 3 bars. Next up will be these silver ribs. Next up, the badges that'll be going on the dials. And finally, we're moving on to the nozzle. And now we're finally moving to the final touches. We're going to start by painting gold onto the little black knob with the electricity symbol on it, as well as painting the gold letters onto the silver badges. Now that all the fine details are on there, we're going to put a couple of clear coats just to make sure everything stays nice and clean and secure. And finally, we're going to be putting some neodymium magnets into the barrel so that it can snap open and shut, just like in the game. I then proceeded to do this for like 5 minutes straight. I don't know why. Don't judge me. And last but not least, we're going to be making the ammo, as you can see here. And first we're going to start with this 3D printed battery I had, painted silver, and this very nice stencil that I found along with the RayGun files. Cut it out, glue it on, and there we go. We are now completely done. Here I tried to do the reload, but I kind of lost aura points trying to flick it back close. It just wasn't working. So, here is the RayGun. Thanks for watching, and here are the results.